The unbelievable story behind Volkswagen. From Nazi origins to a symbol of peace, the Volkswagen Type 2 microbus. This iconic hippie mobile brings back fond memories of free love, 1960s flower power, and the famous mantra, turn on, tune in, drop out. But wait, this isn't just a heartwarming story about the beloved VW van. Did you know that the Volkswagen Corporation was started by none other than Adolf Hitler? Today, Volkswagen is one of the world's largest car manufacturers, selling in over 91 countries. Its most famous model, the Volkswagen Beetle, was once considered the best-selling car in history, with over 22 million units sold. The Volkswagen Group is currently worth $76 billion and owns some of the most prestigious car brands, including Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, Bugatti, and Porsche. So how did the VW Beetle transform from a car made exclusively for the Nazis into a global symbol of peace, love, and counterculture? Is this the greatest rebranding in history? This is the unbelievable true story behind Volkswagen. The Nazi beginnings of Volkswagen in the 1930s. Germany's automobile industry was primarily focused on luxury vehicles, making cars a privilege for the wealthy. Only 1 in 50 Germans could afford a car. But when Adolf Hitler came to power, he envisioned a plan to mass-produce vehicles, inspired by the success of the Ford Model T in America. Though Hitler loved cars, he never properly learned how to drive and relied on chauffeurs, most famously riding in a Mercedes-Benz 770. His vision included building a vast network of autobahns, modern highways that would connect all of Germany. Interestingly, unlike the United States, where cars came first and highways later, Hitler planned the roads first, expecting cars to follow. Volkswagen was founded in 1937 by the German Labor Front in Wolfsburg, Germany. Originally named Volkswagenwerk, which translates to the People's Car Company, Hitler's vision was to create an affordable car that could fit 2 adults in the front and 3 children in the back, while reaching speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour, about 62 miles per hour. He hired Austrian automobile designer Ferdinand Porsche to create the first Volkswagen model. While Porsche was known for his luxury car designs, many historians believe he actually borrowed the design from a 1920s prototype by Jewish-German engineer Joseph Ganz. In 1939, the first prototype, known as the KDF wagon, Kraft durch Freude or Strength Through Joy, was unveiled at the Berlin Motor Show. It was designed to be affordable, priced at 990 Reichsmarks, which was roughly $400 at the time, equivalent to around $8,200 today. However, even at this price, the average German citizen found it difficult to afford, so a savings stamp program was introduced, allowing buyers to make monthly payments. Germans collectively paid over 280 million Reichsmarks toward their cars, but they never received them. Volkswagen and World War II. The grand deception: it turns out the KDF wagon was never meant for the public. When Germany invaded Poland in September 1939, Volkswagen immediately halted civilian car production and shifted to military manufacturing. Even those who had completed their car payments saw their vehicles confiscated for military use. Citizens were handed vouchers promising a replacement car after the war, promises that were never fulfilled. Many historians now believe this was Hitler's plan all along. When Porsche designed the KDF wagon, one of Hitler's requirements was that it should be able to mount a machine gun on the hood. The so-called People's Car was just a front for a military vehicle, allowing the Nazi government to secretly fund their war machine without violating the Treaty of Versailles. During the war, Volkswagen produced thousands of military vehicles, including the Kübelwagen, similar to the American Jeep. However, they faced a major labor shortage since many German men were fighting on the front lines. To solve this, Volkswagen resorted to forced labor. The company established a concentration camp in Rebechdorf and forcibly took workers from other camps. By World War II's peak, an estimated 80% of Volkswagen's workforce consisted of slave laborers. Post-war, the British resurrect Volkswagen as World War II ended and Allied forces took control of Germany. Volkswagen's Wolfsburg factory was in ruins, bombed, sabotaged, and abandoned by retreating Nazi forces. When the British arrived in 1945, they debated what to do with the company. The Russians wanted to destroy it entirely, while the Americans considered stripping it for parts. British Major Ivan Hurst was assigned to oversee the Volkswagen factory in 1948. He believed Volkswagen could still serve a purpose and offered the company to Henry Ford for free. Ford declined, believing the company was worthless. But Hearst was determined. He persuaded British officials to commission 20,000 vehicles for military use, ensuring Volkswagen's survival. To truly rebuild the company, Hearst needed a German leader, and in 1947, he found the perfect candidate, Heinrich Nordhoff, a former executive at Opel, owned by General Motors. Under Nordhoff's leadership, Volkswagen underwent a complete transformation. The birth of the Volkswagen Beetle, the KDF wagon, was rebranded as the Volkswagen Beetle. By the 1950s, Volkswagen was thriving in Germany, with 1 in 3 cars on the road being a Beetle. Henry Ford, realizing his mistake in rejecting Volkswagen, attempted to buy it, but Nordhoff refused. Volkswagen began exporting to the U. in 1949, but sales were initially disastrous. Only 2 Beetles were sold in the entire first year. Americans still associated the brand with Nazi Germany, and competing against Ford, GM, and Chrysler was nearly impossible. The greatest rebranding in history in 1959, Volkswagen hired a small advertising agency, Doyle Dane Bernbach, DDB, to market the Beetle in America. The campaign they created was revolutionary. Instead of competing with the big, flashy American cars, they embraced the Beetle's small size. Their Think Small campaign featured minimalist ads with a tiny Beetle placed in a corner of a blank page. Other campaigns used slogans like, "Lemon, live below your means," and "It's ugly, but it gets you there." This anti-status quo approach resonated with America's youth, especially the growing hippie movement, which rejected materialism and conformity. By the 1960s, Volkswagen had been fully rebranded as the car of peace and counterculture. The 1968 Disney film The Love Bug introduced Herbie, the lovable Beetle, further cementing its place in pop culture. By 1972, Volkswagen had produced 15 million Beetles, officially surpassing the Ford Model T as the most sold car in history. Volkswagen's modern legacy Volkswagen continued to grow, introducing models like the Microbus, Karmann Ghia, Rabbit, and Jetta. In 2008, Porsche attempted to take over Volkswagen, but in a shocking twist, Volkswagen turned the tables and ended up acquiring Porsche instead. Today, Volkswagen remains one of the most powerful car manufacturers in the world, worth nearly $76 billion. However, its dark past cannot be erased. Many argue that Volkswagen only thrived after it was removed from Nazi control and placed into a free market economy. Yet, its origins, built on deception, forced labor, and war, remain a permanent stain on its history. Whether Volkswagen's rebranding was the greatest PR stunt ever or simply a stroke of luck, one thing is certain: the company that once symbolized Nazi Germany now stands as a global automotive giant. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're curious about what was happening in America during this time, check out our video on Ford Motors. See you next time.